Do you want to start taking more decisive action so that you can grow your business? But maybe right now you kind of feel that you're getting in your own way, you feel unconfident, and you really want to crank up the gears. My name's Simon Lovell. I created the Super High Performance Formula. I'm one of the top trending writers for entrepreneur.com. And in this video, I'm going to be covering 5 different areas which are going to help you better understand yourself so that you can start taking more action. Now, this happens to everybody. It happens on my own personal journey through different stages of business. But you want to see it like this, which is everybody loves to learn the strategy. But we also need to learn and understand ourselves, because if we're honest, we have to say, what is the biggest thing that's holding us back? Is it strategy or is it myself? And if you say to yourself, do you know what? If I'm being honest, it's me that's holding myself back, then all you need to do, just like learning the latest Facebook ad strategy or the latest sales strategy, is that you need to go, oh, I need to start to understand the way that I'm thinking. So let's cover these 5 different areas around helping you to be more decisive. And number 1, which is clarity of vision. I can remember years ago when I wasn't clear around what I wanted to do. And I was going back and forth and back and forth. And then suddenly what starts to happen is maybe it's one conversation that we have with someone where we've had a doubt and they say, no, that's ridiculous. You know, you should totally do that. It's easy because they've got experience. And then suddenly all that you needed was that clarity that came from someone else. And then you suddenly start to move forward. But another big way to get clarity is through questions. And it's not just any questions, it's certain questions that we typically don't either know to ask ourselves, or we're not willing to ask those questions, or we've just not even considered them. So these questions are going to be around things like the issues that are happening at home that are unresolved, right? That can impact us moving forward. Personal relationships is one example. But there are lots of different questions that we need to go through. And I'll give you a resource at the end around this. But when we do that and when we get honest, honesty creates transformation and it creates clarity, because we suddenly understand what's really holding us back. For example, fear, the things that we put off versus, the things that we like to do versus the things that are always on our list where they keep on coming up, but we ignore them. Intuition, I'll be talking about that later. Okay, so clarity of vision is one of the most important steps. And oftentimes if you go and see a coach or you go and get support from someone, one of the first things that you're going to get, if they're doing their job right, is help you to get clarity. And they're going to do that through asking you questions, not just you talking to them, right? They're going to ask you questions, and then that's going to give you a moment where you go, oh, that was a really good question. You start to think about it, and then they'll ask you another question for you to go deeper. And the deeper that you go, the more that's going to come up. And then suddenly you start to get clarity around the real issue, not the thing that you thought it was. Okay. Number 2, which is helping you to take more decisive action, which is confidence around risks. Okay, so if you're not moving forward on certain things, chances are there's a high chance that there is fear around that, false evidence appearing real. And so this is why we don't move forward, or we jump from one thing to another and we don't commit to that thing, because at some level we've got some kind of fear. It could be fear of failure. I'll give you a personal example of this. Years and years ago, when I was really struggling before I built a multi-million-dollar company, one of my big blocks was the fear of putting myself out there, because I was worried about the other mentors, for example, that I respected. If they saw me putting things out there, other coaches, what would they think about it? And so I hesitated. I didn't put myself forward. And so I had to deal with that. I had to go through processes in order to unblock that, and then it cleared things out for me to start to move forward. All right. So confidence, you've got to be having the confidence to take risks. And we also need to understand that whenever we're trying something new, for example, even if you're going on video for the first time, right, there's going to be a certain amount of fear because we've not done it before. And so that understanding around building up confidence in certain ways with micro actions that start to build up and build up and build up can be incredibly useful. Number three, which is imperfection, which actually ties into the last one, which is being willing to stumble, being willing to mess things up, and being willing and able to fail with the understanding that if I fail, I'm actually just learning something. And there's lots of different mindset points that people talk about here on, fear of failure. But I'll give you one story around a coaching session I did with a young gentleman who came to me years ago. And he was crippled by the fear of failure. And so what I had him do during a process and doing it during an exercise was I had him reframe fear of failure into being excited about failure. When people suffer from anxiety, actually one of the most, the best things you can do is actually invite the anxiety on so that it doesn't have power over you and you're kind of taking back control. So in this conversation with him, when he had fear of failure, what I did was I said, hey, let's look at it differently. I want you to start, instead of fearing it, I'm like, go into it, bring it on, like bring me more things to fail on. Okay. And in that way, by shifting that thinking, he now takes his power back, and that power, that energy allows him to start moving forward. Okay. Number 4. All right. So we've spoken about clarity of vision. We've spoken about the confidence to take risks and how that links to fear, imperfection. And the next one is adaptation to feedback. So a lot of the time when we're trying to grow a business, and when we're trying to take that action, what we struggle with is the feedback from others, and also feedback from certain situations that allows us to navigate the milestones that we need to go through in a business. Any business, and multitude different areas of business, could be marketing, could be sales, we're always going to have situations where we need to deal with situations and pivot. And so one of the things that you might deal with, as one example, could be rejection in sales, versus thinking about it in terms of, no, that's just feedback. If someone says no, it doesn't mean that they don't want it. It doesn't mean that I'm a bad person. It doesn't mean that they don't like me. It's just that there's certain feedback that I need to take, and I need to be able to adapt to that feedback. So there's a multitude of different areas in business where you need to adapt to feedback, but it's also about developing your emotional intelligence so that you don't allow that to actually cripple you, because feedback from somebody, or your own internal feedback and your own thinking, stops you also because of fear. And there's this underlying energy. I'll talk about energy in different videos. All right. So we've got that one, which is adaptation to feedback. And then the final one, number 5, is trusting your instincts. This is a huge one. And this comes down to intuition. Now, if you are disconnected from yourself, and so you have trouble with feeling, and you have trouble with attuning to yourself and other people, then what starts to happen, especially if you, for example, you drink a lot of alcohol, or if you have a lot of toxicity in your life, and you're not clear, what happens is it gets misty. Versus if you start to meditate, if you start to clear things out, and then things hit you, then you start to trust those feelings and you start to take action. Something drops in, you get an idea, you take action. Versus something drops in, you're kind of confused about that. Or should I do it? Should I not? And you get stuck in this indecisiveness, right? Was it a good idea? Was it not? Versus, oh my God, that felt good. I got an idea for this video, which I just did. And so I had the idea, I got out the camera, and I started to record this video. In business, that is so important because you want to use your intuition. You want to develop the emotional intelligence skills to develop your intuition and trust those instincts. And I'll give you a quick rule, right? If you're in the shower, which is a great place to get clear, this is why you have a lot of ideas in the shower, because it's this portal of presence. You go in the shower, maybe you've been overthinking, you get in the shower, the water's on your head, it brings you into the present moment. And that's often why you get a lot of ideas coming to you in the shower, which is why I actually take action on a lot of things when I get out of the shower. Of course, I get closed, right? But it's a signal for me when I'm in the shower. If something hits me and that feels good, it's a signal for me to take action, not a signal for me to not do something. Okay. So that's what you want to be aware of. Does something feel good to you in the present moment? Are you walking out with your dog? Are you in nature and suddenly something hits you? It feels good. That is the thing to move into action as quickly as possible. Years ago, a guy said something to me. It was at an event, and he said, whenever I get introduced to someone, I always make that contact immediately because I know that if I put that off, maybe it won't happen. And we need to do things in a moment. There's a window of opportunity. James Cameron talked about it in an interview around Titanic and the other movies that he's done. There's this window of opportunity where he says that there's this lock on the door of a safe and there's a window that opens. We've got to use that window of opportunity. And that is also layered in with our intuition and our instincts. So I want you to start noticing those moments more. All right. So I've covered these 5 different areas. Now, if you want to start to develop the emotional intelligence habits, if you want to get clarity, I've actually put together something called the conscious impact experience. It's a training, it's a meditation, so it's an experience. And then after you do this meditation, because you're in a certain state, then I want you to answer certain questions. And then you'll go through those questions. And because of the meditation combined with the questions, all right, what it's going to do is give you clarity because it's going to go deep. Right? These are some of the questions I use with my very high paying clients, and I'm going to give you that process absolutely free. You can check out the link in the description to the Super High Performance Community. It's pretty new, depending on when you watch this video. Go through quest 1, stage 1, do the conscious impact experience, then move into all fired up. And what you're going to do is start to take more action. Okay. It's a proven process. I've used it with so many people, and I'm just giving it to you because I know the frustration when we don't have clarity, when we are indecisive, and when we don't understand our own thinking. And I want you to be able to start to get some amazing results. Let me know if you've got any questions in the comments, what other videos you would like, maybe on one of these different 5 topics, and I will see you in another video. Take care.